So sitting here, I just realized that my oldest son played the biggest screw you card ever.
It's not
He,
really a screw you card. It's a ploy that every kid wishes they had.
yeah, and I can't believe I fell for this ploy. So
What's that?
literally, you just gave your sister and brother a completely get out of jail free, consequence free
Well,
card.
I wouldn't say consequence free, but
You don't think it's consequence free?
no, because you can still yell at them and discipline them. Well, you can't discipline them; they're adults, but you can still yell at them. You just can't react right away. Otherwise, you contradict this whole thing.
So we developed this podcast because we have this open communication, and he pretty much tells me anything, and we talk it out, and we make, decisions based on it. Not realizing that one day my daughter came here, and she may or may not have been under the influence of something, and she couldn't even find a brush. And now she's afraid to come talk to me about it, but he just literally made the biggest,
Get out of jail free card.
because I have to be willing to sit and listen and talk to her, just as I do him every day, because of this podcast.
Yeah, otherwise, the podcast is pointless if you don't just accept what they're telling you and not get mad.
Wow.
So I gave them the best birthday present for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I'd say birthday, Christmas, and every holiday in between.
You guys are fucking welcome.
Yeah, they should be like ecstatic over
I
this.
just gave them the greatest gift they wish they would have had growing up.
To have a literally judgment free.
Yeah, for any topic, really.
Yeah, because nothing is off the table
No.
except the top four.
Yeah.
But it goes down to a matter of judgment. Why do people feel the need that they have to judge before actually getting to know you? Like how can they use your past to judge you for something you're looking to do now?
Yeah, it's really annoying, especially since the past that they see isn't anywhere close to what the truth was. They saw very temporary, and it's partially my fault too for being a closed off person, but because I was never a person that shared my personal life because I was embarrassed of it growing up.
Right.
So I never shared it, and now I'm being judged off it 12 years later to try to find employment, and nobody hires me because I was a troubled kid per se, and they don't even know 10% of the story. They know what they saw, and they never talk to me. Like the people who are calling me this, I never once had one conversation with them through high school.
Have I ever been in contact with
No,
them? Well,
no.
then how can they pass judgment? How can they sit in their glass house and say, you were a troubled child, it's going to affect how you work now? I feel like some of the most troubled children or troubled adults that have gone through so much in their life, they are some of the best workers, the ones that have the dedication, the ones that have the mentality to think, hey, I can do this and do this so much better.
Yeah, I was outworking people using coke for years. Like I was putting in more hours, working harder, doing better results, but yet I'm not a good worker because you think I was a troubled kid, which is ridiculous. I probably have more hours of working than these people will ever do in their life. I mean, I went 6 straight months with 110-hour work weeks,
That's
willingly
crazy.
sober, 100% sober, not even alcohol. And I went 6 months straight with 110-hour weeks. These people don't even, they're mandated not to work over 50 hours a week. But yet, I am the worst employee to hire, even though I thrive everywhere I go and get put in management every place. But these people are so close-minded because they've never left this crap town and experienced anything. So they think that I'm a troubled kid, so I don't work. I don't even know where that stereotype started. Like, I've worked with some people that were broken, and they worked harder than anybody that was entitled, or anybody that had it all through high school, or anybody that was perfect child. Those people don't work, and they're crappy at their job. That's why they're at a gas station or a grocery store or McDonald's. And they thrive there because they can't thrive in a real world job. Like I've worked some hard jobs, foundries, concrete, hydroblasting. I've worked all of the extremes of everything, and I thrived in those environments. These people wouldn't even make it one day in my world. But
But
yet
we're,
I can't work with them because I was a troubled kid.
but we're not saying those jobs are terrible, because there's so many jobs that have to be filled and they have to be done, and
Yeah.
we'll preface it by saying that. We're using it as an analogy because yeah, you were given some pretty not so fun jobs and you did them and did them well. So these jobs required top security, top, mental preparedness, and now you try and find something, but the judgment sits there and it holds.
Yeah.
So why do we put value on rumors? Why do we put value on things that we hear or hearsay? There's no reason to put that stuff on there. I
Hmm.
mean, if that's the case, then I obviously am 100% a slut and I sleep with everyone that I see. Because if we're going based on rumors that can destroy people, back in high school, that was what I was thought of.
Yeah.
But yet I didn't have sex then. So, I mean, people need to start opening their eyes and realizing that you're casting judgment on someone for something that happened way back when, and you don't even know the whole story.
And what drives me crazy is that I don't judge anybody for anything. When I talk, even people I knew back then that I knew that I didn't like back then, I still don't judge now. I mean, look at my friend who we're still working in business together. We did not get along through high school. We were never friends. Like we were both asinine pricks in high school, so we didn't get along. So, but now we're great friends because we chose not to judge each other.
Correct.
And what drives me crazy is I was a contractor with level one clearance at a defense contract company that had to go through 4 different FBI screenings. So how am I that bad of a child if I passed 4 screenings through the FBI?
Correct. That's what
Like,
I'm
and
saying. It comes down to rumors and hearsay and forming an opinion before really truly knowing someone.
yeah,
And
it's
you can't
ridiculous.
do that anymore.
No, and it's in this day and age where everybody's so temperamental about everything. How is it fair that I'm being judged based off a couple juvenile arrests for a weekend in jail?
Yeah, it
Like,
makes no sense. But they also don't know the backside to the story or the other, or I should say the other side of the
they
story.
don't know any of the story. Like, I never talked to these people. They don't know
Correct.
anything about me. They know that I sat in jail a couple times for 72 hours. That's it. Like, do you know
Mm-hmm.
how many adults I know that were perfect children that have sat for weeks? I know one kid that was raised by a cop that sat in jail for 32 armed burglaries, but he was portrayed as the perfect child in school.
And
So,
that makes no sense
yeah,
because again, your glass house was no cleaner than your glass house.
yeah,
And
it's,
it's all perception and people need to start just looking at someone for someone, the person that they are.
yeah.
I mean, it's the judgment has to stop.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, especially when you're trying to hire people. I'm starting to believe that the hiring crisis right now has nothing to do with workers not wanting to work. I'm starting to believe it's with employers not wanting to hire people because of what they think they are. Like I've worked with my resume is impeccable. I have great attendance, great work ethic, and I've worked in the extremes of every field. I mean, so but they won't hire me because of their opinion of me from 12 years ago, which is ridiculous. Like who would if you were to just say that to a random person, like that doesn't make any sense at all. But
No.
yet all these people are believing that in this small town, and it's ridiculous. Like they've never left this town, so how do they have a right to judge anyone? Like,
And if we're going based on that, then the amount of people that I have working for me, I would have to look at, oh, okay, 12 years ago, you were out on the streets causing nothing but problems and running with some questionable people. I
mm,
probably shouldn't hire you.
yeah.
But yet, they're the ones that are showing up to work, picking up the extra hours. They're doing the things that they need to do.
And what's
So,
crazy is on these applications says do you have any charges within the past 7 years? So why, and I have nothing. So why am I being judged from 12 years ago when I haven't even had a criminal charge in 12 years?
right.
Like, and their application only asks for 7. So yes, I did have a criminal charge 12 years ago for taking my parents' vehicle to school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that puts me out of qualification for a job at your gas station because I made a mistake at 17 years old, 16 years old.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was 16 years
Yeah,
old.
so that one mistake means I can't work for your gas station, even though I've had a perfect record since as an adult. That makes no sense to me. And your application process only requires you to talk about 7 years ago, but you're judging me from past that.
Because you know the past that because you lived in the town and you've lived here all the time and you've heard hearsay and you've heard rumors.
Yeah, it's
So
just I
you're
don't
going based on
understand.
a judgment that's clouded.
Yeah, I don't understand how people can live life like that and just sit there and judge people. And anyone listening to this, if you're judging people, stop, because if you look in the mirror and you start looking at your own life, you have no right to judge. Nobody does, because everybody's
No.
made mistakes. Everybody's made substantial screw ups in their life that they just won't talk about because they're embarrassed about it. I've made tremendous screw ups in my life. I've screwed up parts of raising my kids. I've screwed up relationships. I've destroyed a friendship of 20 years because I dated the guy's girlfriend after they broke up. I mean, I I've made substantial mistakes, and I can't judge people. Like, and I know people who have done way worse than me, and I still don't judge them because it's not fair.
And it's not your place to judge them. That is only their maker and their beliefs. Those are the only people that can judge someone.
Yeah,
And for us, we can't. And I don't judge anyone either, because if I did, I would feel like that hypocrite. And I try to live my life not in hypocrisy,
yeah,
but in my own reality that, yeah, everybody's done something. I've done things I'm not proud of. And, I'm going to get to know you as the person
hmm
and what you are until you prove otherwise.
yeah. I mean, I'm not someone who's gonna sit and talk to anybody, but I mean, I will if the conversation is stimulating, but I'm not going to judge someone that comes up and talks to me that I didn't like. Okay, so a good example, if a person I went to school with that I just did not like, or let's say I fought him in high school because
Hmm.
I was a rowdy child, um, and I did just hated that person growing up. If they were to cross my path today, I'm not going to say anything to them about it except hello and how you been, and I'm going to just openly new face with them. They have a new chance. Like I don't judge people. Like there's a few exceptions that I have, but it's because they've burned me recently. Um,
But I
but
don't think it's
it's
a matter of placing judgment. It's you are choosing to grow as an individual and stay far away from those. You've given
yeah,
the chance, you've given the opportunity, you've given the olive branch. The olive branch was broke,
mm,
and it's not that you hate them or wish ill on them. It's just a matter of, you know, we don't mesh, we don't work,
yeah,
let's go our separate ways. But it's not that you're passing judgment, it's based on personal experience.
yeah,
So I think that's totally different than saying, "Oh, I'm judging you because so and so said this about you."
yeah,
Because if we went based on that, okay, so and so said that you went and cut down so and so's tree. I don't even know the analogy,
yeah,
but in reality the tree's still standing.
yeah,
So it's that type of thing. You can't, you have to make your own opinions
mm,
of the person you're doing or dealing with. And I think it's sad because, like I said, if I went based on purely hearsay,
mm,
I'd probably have a staff of 5.
yeah.
And that wouldn't work.
No, I mean I've worked for big companies that have required me to do hiring against my will, but
Yeah, it's not easy and it sucks.
yeah, it was never my favorite part of the job, but I had to do it because that was my role in almost every place I worked. But when I hired people, I went off what they put on their resume, even if I knew the person. And there was a lot of situations I hired people I knew, especially working for concrete. It was only a half hour from here, so a lot of people applied there.
Hmm.
And when I hired people, I went based off what they put down on their application. Even if I knew the person, I knew that I shouldn't hire them. If their application was good and their interview went great, yes, I'm going to give them a chance. Even though I knew in my gut I shouldn't have, I still did because that's who I should have been. That was when I was 19. So,
Hmm.
I mean, and that was when I was still a pretty judgmental person. So, and I still felt the need to give people a second chance. But, and I'm personally someone who doesn't need a second chance because I've done nothing wrong in my adult life. I've spent nothing but trying to repay sins of my youth. And I've tried to gentrify my reputation through the years, and apparently it doesn't work in a small town. They just don't care. They don't care how much positive you've done.
No, because I think they're so set in their ways and so set in their thought process. And until you clear out that thought process or try to change that thought process, nothing's going to be different because they are based on old school. Old school works to a point.
hmm
Old school doesn't work nowadays
Well,
anymore.
the way people are treating old school is different. Like the old school mindset has to do with work ethic and it has to do with respect for others. It has nothing to do with opinions. Um, okay, so look at my grandfather. He was the most old school person I knew,
Yep.
but he didn't judge people based off what he heard. Like
No.
he was Old Testament, so if you screwed up, you're done. Like you got
Yep.
one chance to screw up on your own. But he wasn't going to judge you based off hearsay. So, and that's where a lot of people are confused. They think, oh, I'm old school, so you don't deserve this because I'm a hard ass. That's not at all what that means.
No, old school truly means that I'm going to give you there. It's just the old thought process. Open the doors, be a gentleman.
Mhm.
The wife is home and, adoring type thing. Those are old school thoughts.
Yeah, old school is I'm going to give you the noose. You hang yourself if you want to.
Correct.
It's not that I'm going to hang you
The
predetermined.
old school I'm talking about is the old school thought that, you know, we're older, we're wiser, we know all, but we're going to start these rumors.
Mm,
And that has to stop because
yeah.
you are older and wiser. You should know what happens when you do this.
Hmm.
But they still, in a small community, a lot of times that happens. And
Yeah,
it,
that's all
it
because
is
of clicks and judgment and
it's crushing something that could be so much better. I mean,
mhm.
there's so much things you could do in a small community. You can open different things, you can create different things, but what happens is you have the thought process that is so back then mindset that you don't want growth.
What really just chaps my butt is this specific gas station that I can't get a job at because I was a troubled kid. What's ironic is when I was 18 and still a troubled kid per se, the owner of this gas station offered me a job to run his concrete division. I turned it down because I was already working somewhere else, but if the owner of your company, after talking to me for 20 minutes, felt I should run his concrete crew, wanted to hire me, but you won't as a store manager because you know me as a kid. What does that tell you? Why are you working for this guy? Like maybe you shouldn't be in the management role because the owner
Correct.
of your company felt differently than you feel, and you're just his employee.
So
Like,
now you're changing his thought for his business, and you're
yeah,
probably stifling the business's growth.
yeah. So it's if the owner of your company felt I was important enough to run his entire division, which is a huge chain, but you don't think I can work in food in your gas station for third shift? That's kind of ridiculous. Like maybe you should reevaluate your morals for that company that you signed on for. Like so, I personally know this guy. I've talked to him a few times over the years. Like I've had to do things for him for different companies, and he's a great guy. And I think that this person in town that needs to really check themselves because they need to understand that they need to get off their high horse and understand what job they signed on for and who they work for. And
Just
that
because you're in management doesn't mean that you have to still work the floor.
no,
Because if you're not willing to walk their walk,
yeah,
they are never going to listen to the words that you speak.
yeah. And part of being a manager is being open-minded. Like you
Correct.
can't be a good leader if you're not open-minded. You just can't because then you miss every good opportunity. I've made that mistake already. I've made mistakes of being just shallow-minded and narrow-sighted. It's as management, you have to really participate and think about what you're doing all the time because this person is hurting their crew by not hiring me. And I don't mean to sound like self-centered, but I'm a I'm a tremendous employee. And what I get done is so impressive that people assume I'm on drugs when I'm not because I get so much done because that's who I am. And this person just hurt their company by not hiring me because of a rumor they thought in high school
Correct.
and they have no idea who I am. They don't even know what I look like now. Like I don't even look like the same person I did back then. So they're judging me based off something they heard 12 years ago in school, and they won't hire me now, even though their employer believes that I'm a valuable asset after 20 minutes of conversation.
Yeah.
And that's where it just baffles my mind that it's that ridiculous. I almost wrote him, the owner's son, because the owner passed away a couple of years ago. But I almost wrote his son and told him what's going on in this gas station here in town and be like, hey, dude, you need to evaluate who you got running these things because they are making mistakes, like detrimental mistakes. They're not hiring great workers and getting these crap ones and have your turnaround at 90% because they won't hire people they think is not cool, like because
Hmm.
they went to school with them. That's not how you should be a manager. Management should go purely based off
You
resume and
have to have
experience.
you have to be completely unbiased when you are hiring someone as a manager.
Yeah,
You
otherwise you don't
have
get
to,
workers.
and it's not a matter of getting workers. I've now to the mindset as the director and manager of where I work that I'm going to give you a chance. And do I give them more than one chance? I do. However, I'm doing it unbiasedly because if I went based on some of the things that they've done and some of the stuff that they've told me in the past, no one in their right mind would have hired them.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing that that was the past and seeing that they've changed and seeing that they've become this person that is willing to care and willing to do the job and willing to pick up the extra hours speaks volumes. I
Yeah.
mean, everyone has to stop looking at the past. They have to stop judging,
Mm-hmm.
go in as an open mind and be completely unbiased because you can't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's you never know what you're gonna get for an employee, so why not take the risk anyway? Because they're hiring the hiring process they're doing now isn't working since everyone's got 90% turnover.
Hmm.
Like it's obviously something's wrong. Maybe we should start looking at our managers and start seeing what they're doing.
Exactly. It
Because
starts at the top.
and look at your specific place you work. Look at who you have as your management team. Like your management team is not working right now
No.
because they're just as bad as the people judging me. Like
Hmm.
because they're not doing what they need to be doing, and that's trickling down because now you could potentially be losing good employees because of this
Correct.
management team, and you could be losing potential good employees because of this management team. Like it's I'm not saying you're not going to lose people either way. You will because of this the way the world is now, but in your specific case, you have horrible managers working for you that won't come to work because of minor medical issues.
Correct.
So it's like these people who are judging everyone else and talking all this crap, they're not good workers themselves. Like
Correct.
it's so people need to just stop with the judgment. It's ridiculous. In this 2023, the fact that people are still judging people is ridiculous when that's the only topic all over the news. Like just judgment free. Like and but yet it's happening everywhere.
It does because it's for some reason people feel comforted in doing this because they're like, oh, well, it makes me feel so much better. Well, it shouldn't. Okay, you want to feel better? Then go meditate or go for a walk.
Yeah,
Change your lifestyle, change your views.
yeah, change yourself.
It all starts within, and if you're not willing to change yourself and you're willing to continue to cast judgment, how is that making anything any better? Because it's not.
No, I think the whole moral of this one is just be open-minded with people and let go of your past image of people. Because I'm great friends with people now that I did not like 10 years ago. Like, if you would have told me 10 years ago I would have been in business with the guy I'm in business with, there's no way I would have believed you. No
Yeah,
way.
you would have told them you're a lot that
Yeah, I
they're a
would have told him
liar.
to go to hell.
Yep.
Like, it's so just stop with this crap and just if I can change, so can everybody else. Because I was the most closed-minded person there was, and I was able to come to this.
Yeah.